It's the Libra sensor part 2, my review of this little gadget. Coming up. Hi and welcome to my channel once again. We are discussing this little gadget here, the Libra sensor, that I did a part 1 of about 2 months ago maybe now. I've had probably about 4 of these by now, and they've been remarkably good in actually analysing what sugars or what meals have affected me as far as sugars are concerned. So these gadgets, as I explained in the part 1, are for people that have got diabetes and want to understand what their sugar levels are throughout a 24-hour cycle. They stay on your body for 2 weeks and then you take them off and you put another one on. So here's one that I've taken apart just to show you, and I'll put a picture up as well for you to see how complicated these things are inside. They are expensive, and if you look at the circuitry in there, you can understand why they are so expensive. There's quite a bit in these, and they have a battery and all sorts of circuitry in there. It's quite intricate, and of course, you know, it's a throwaway device. You throw this away and put another one on, so that's why they're expensive. I think kind of the costs should come down eventually if more people are actually using these. So this is one that I've taken off recently. It looks a bit scary actually, if you can see that. It's got all this thing sticking up in the middle, and if you're new to this and when you see these devices you think, oh my god, is this going into my arm? Is this a needle that's going to go that deep into my skin, into my blood supply? Well, no, it's not a needle at all. It's a filament, and it's actually not pointed at all really. It's a piece of metal that obviously does pick up some signal, or let's say not a signal, but it analyzes some characteristic inside you. It doesn't actually go deep into your arm or wherever you're going to place it. It actually, I'm told, it sits along the skin layer, so I assume that rather than it kind of going straight in, it kind of maybe bends in some way. I don't know, but it's not as horrific as it actually looks. So just in case you see this and it frightens you off, don't be frightened. It doesn't hurt at all really. Well, actually, let's come to that. I've used 4 now. I haven't used them one after the other. One of them was free, one of them I bought, and then actually I think I bought another one. The third one I used, it kind of didn't go in properly. There was a little bit of pain there, not tremendous, but I knew it wasn't sitting there properly. Not a problem. I kind of emailed the guys who provide these, and yeah, they just sent me a new one. Basically they said take it off straight away, and they just sent me a new one, a replacement. So it wasn't a problem whatsoever. So that's good to know, because you don't really want to waste these if at all possible. So as I have said, this is a review of my findings after several months of using these devices. I'm going to show you some of the graphs that this device produces they are sent to your phone, so you can actually see what's happening throughout the day. So let's have a look at graph number 1. So on this graph you can see quite clearly 3 spikes. That's breakfast, lunch and dinner. You can see that the breakfast spike is kind of way up there. It's up to 15, and it's not a great place to be with your sugar levels, but I'm guessing that because it falls quite quickly back down into the green area, that that's probably okay. But for me, the breakfast was always or has always been the time when I do get a bit of a spike in sugars. What you can't see on the graph is you can't see the time along the bottom, but when you're looking at the application and you look at the graph, you've got your time along the bottom there, so you can see when these things are happening. So if we move to graph 2, we can see a similar graph in some ways. Breakfast is spiking up to 12 this time. So you see, from a point of view of understanding or trying to understand how these breakfasts are affecting me, it was great because I didn't have the same breakfast each day. I kept a food diary and I kind of matched this up to these graphs, so I could tweak and just kind of see which, as far as breakfast was concerned, what breakfast meal was well, the best, I suppose. So you can see a smaller spike there, up to 12, whereas the one before was 15. So a totally different breakfast. And the rest of the day, up and down as you might think, but staying within a reasonable area. Let's have a look at graph number 3. Again, kind of 3 spikes here, but you can see this is a great day. This is a day when the breakfast spike wasn't as pronounced. It got up to about maybe 9.5, 10 or something, and then fell down into that kind of green area. Lunch, yeah, a similar situation, up to 9 and then came down. And dinner, well, yeah, didn't really rise very much at all before it started to come down. And that's really what I'm interested in. I'm interested in gaining information about what types of food are actually causing a spike with me. Let's move on now to the 4th graph. Now, apart from the fact that you can see a spike on the breakfast there again, as has been happening, lunch again up to about 11 and then back down. Dinner has gone completely the other way. So I know I haven't got the timings on here, but if you look at to the right hand side, that blip that's going down or starts to go down, that's when I had my dinner, and it did rise a little bit after that. But on that occasion it was interesting because I had an Indian takeaway. I had an Indian curry, and it had an adverse effect on my sugars. It actually reduced them instead of raising them up. So again, more information for me really. So in conclusion, yes, these are great little gadgets. I mean, I'm type 2, so it's kind of a different setup for me than if you're type 1. If you're type 1, you would probably want to be wearing these all the time for a different reason. I'm not interested particularly in getting a warning when I'm too low or too high. with my sugar readings. All I want to know is if I eat a certain type of food, how does that affect me? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Can I tolerate it? Is it within the range that I expect it to rise, or is it going to give me bad readings? Yeah, it's just a great way to kind of find those foods out that you can have, because some of the foods that I have had, it's been quite surprising. I've thought, well, I'm taking on quite a bit of carbohydrate here, but you know, different carbohydrates are different and affect you in different ways, and unless you have graphs or something, values to analyze, then you will never know. You might miss out on something that you can eat that doesn't actually affect you at all, and that's kind of what I'm learning all the time. I've got one on at the moment. It's coming to an end. I have drawn some useful information from it. I will give these a rest for a little while, but I will purchase another one. When I know that I've got some meals or food types that I want to test out on myself, it's a bit like an experiment, I'll probably buy another one and run these through. It's just like I'm a guinea pig, really. And yeah, it's really useful. It's taught me a lot, and I think that this little gadget has contributed to my HbA1c becoming lower than it has been. There's been a few other things that have been going on, but one of the things that the device does do is that it can predict what your HbA1c might be, because it's got all that data in there, that 24 hours a day data. So yeah, it's good for that as well. It gives you quite a bit of analysis. I would recommend it whether you're type 2 or type 1. If you're type 2, then bear in mind that you're going to probably do this, you're doing it for the same reasons that I'm doing it. A great thing anyway. So that's my review. I hope that helped explain a few things to you. If you've got any questions, leave me a comment and I'll try and answer. So that's it from me. So take care for now, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for me from now. Bye.